What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another Talking Thrones Q&A video. I recently posted a comment on my YouTube community tab and I asked everyone to leave any questions they may have down below. The last time I checked, there was over 130 questions and I obviously can't answer them all, or else this video would be well over an hour long, but I will answer some of the questions that had the most likes. I'm assuming the questions with the most likes are the ones that you want to hear my answer for the most, so let's get started with those right away. The first question is from something Jellyfish Sassy. Could Sansa be Jon's niece Anissa? In the book, she has dreams or nightmares of her death. She dreams of ice stabbing her in the chest and her eyes turned white. Also, Jon dreams that he kills a redhead, a girl with thick long red hair similar to hers. Could this mean that he has to kill Sansa, his most beloved sister and the one he swore to protect in Season 6? Could Jon kill her in order to protect her from turning into a white? I know it seems crazy, but not impossible. Thank you for your question, but first I do have to say Sansa is not Jon's most beloved sister. Arya is actually Jon's most beloved sister. In the books, Jon and Arya think about each other more than any of the other siblings, but Jon does have love for Sansa, I won't deny that. Your question is interesting though, because you do raise some good points, but in my opinion, Sansa will not be niece Anissa. I think if anyone is going to be niece Anissa, it will be either Daenerys or Melisandre. You may not have noticed, but I did make a video about each one of these characters being niece Anissa, and to me, it would make a lot more sense if Melisandre was actually niece Anissa. Melisandre has been the character who preaches about this prophecy the most. Melisandre has made many sacrifices by burning people alive, but I think it would be interesting if Melisandre had to give the ultimate sacrifice by sacrificing herself in order for Lightbringer to be forged. Melisandre is very powerful and magical, and she kind of already has a fire burning inside of her. When we saw Melisandre at her full strength, she didn't even need to wear a coat while she was at the wall because her body was so warm, and I bet if you plunged a sword into her heart, it would catch fire and create Lightbringer. I don't want to turn this entire video into a niece Anissa theory, but let me read one quote to you from the books, then I will move on to the next question. This quote seems to be foreshadowing Melisandre being niece Anissa. In one of Davos's chapters in the third book, A Storm of Swords, he says something very interesting that relates to this question. After Davos nearly died during the Battle of Blackwater Bay, someone saves him from that small rock island he washed up on, and as he is being taken back to Dragonstone, he starts thinking about the battle and how Melisandre is starting to take over Stannis' life, and Davos thinks to himself and says, "She has broke him like a man breaks a horse. She would ride him to power if she could, and for that she gave my sons to the fire. I will cut the living heart from her breast and see how it burns." In my opinion, that relates perfectly to the Azor Ahai and niece Anissa prophecy, almost word for word. The Azor Ahai prophecy states, "This time he called for his wife, niece Anissa, and asked her to bare her breast. He drove his sword into her living heart, her soul combining with the steel of the sword, creating Lightbringer, the red sword of heroes." Davos used those same words when he thought about stabbing Melisandre. He said the words living heart and breast, and he thought about it burning, just like the sword would burn if it was plunged through her breast into her living heart. I believe if anyone is going to be niece Anissa, it will be Melisandre. She's coming back to Westeros to die, and she believes death by fire is the purest death. So it would make sense to me if Melisandre sacrificed herself instead of someone else this time. The next question is from S. Davis. I really would love to hear what you think. If there were 7 characters who reminded you of the 7 from One God of the Seven Faces, the mother, the father, the warrior, the crone, the smith, the stranger, and the maiden, who would be who? Thank you for the question, S. Davis, and I'm going to be honest with you though, I haven't ever really put much thought into this idea before. If I had to pick 7 characters that are still alive who best fit those descriptions, I would pick Arya Stark for the stranger. The stranger does represent death and the unknown, and I do think that fits Arya pretty well. Gendry would be my smith, who represents craftsmanship. I would pick Jaime Lannister or even Jon Snow for the warrior. They have both displayed courage in battle. Even the Hound would fit that description, although he did abandon the Battle of Blackwater Bay. I think Old Nan fits the description of the crone the best. Even though she is dead, Old Nan definitely had wisdom and foresight. Sansa Stark would be a good fit for the Maiden. She is beautiful and fairly innocent compared to most of the other characters. I'm not too sure about the mother though. I guess Missandei might be a good pick for that, or maybe even Daenerys, although she isn't very fertile herself, or is she? And for the father, I would have to say Jon Snow. I think Brienne could also fit that description in a sense. I never really put that much thought into this before. Which characters would all of you pick for the 7? Leave your opinions down in the comments, but let's move on to the next question. The next question is from Samantha Christensen, and she asks, can you see a possibility that both Jon and Dany survive and rule as equals? Could the bittersweet come elsewhere? Sure, the bittersweet ending could play out 1,000 different ways in my opinion. I have considered so many different scenarios when trying to predict how this would end. But the question is, will Jon and Daenerys both survive and rule together as equals? That almost sounds like too perfect of an ending. I have always felt like one of them would die, and I have been leaning more towards Daenerys dying. I don't want Daenerys to die, but I feel like she will. Daenerys has had one mission during this entire series, and that is to become the Queen of the Seven Kingdoms, something she believes she was born to do. She still thinks she has the strongest claim, but as we all know, Jon Snow has the better claim. And Jon doesn't give two shits about whether he is in power or not. He just wants to save the realm and do what's right. So I think it would be kind of ironic if Daenerys died before she ever achieved the one thing she has wanted this entire time. But instead, Jon ends up outliving everyone and he is left with all the power, although he has never wanted it. That's just how I feel right now, but I'm not opposed to changing my opinion. The next question is from Christian. Back in Season 3, Arya tells the Hound that she will put a knife through his eye and out the back of his skull. Do you think that this was foreshadowing he is turned into a white and Arya has to kill him? I know Game of Thrones is big on foreshadowing. That is a really good question, Christian. I absolutely remember that scene, and this is one that I have thought about from time to time. I used to think it might mean something, but I'm not so sure anymore. I don't see Arya ever killing the Hound, but I do like the nice spin you put on this question. Because if the Hound is turned into a white, Arya could still do this, and it wouldn't necessarily ruin how we think of their relationship. Arya wouldn't be killing him out of hate if it happened like this, and I actually think the Hound will survive the entire series though. The Hound is part of my Cripples, Bastards, and Broken Things prediction. I believe all of those characters who were featured in that episode will be the main characters who participate in the Great War and survive the series. So I have to say, no, I do not think this will happen, but it is an interesting idea nonetheless, so thanks for the question. The next one is from Gaming with a White Guy. He says, do you think Jon Snow's parents will be different in the books? Absolutely not. Jon Snow's parents will be exactly the same in the books. Jon Snow's parents are Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about this, in my opinion. I am 100% confident about this, and let's just say I am working on something that I will show you all soon. I know there are tons of R+L=J videos out there already, but what I'm working on is a little bit more definitive than anything you've ever seen. I am currently rereading the books and I'm halfway through A Storm of Swords. Once I finish them, I will break all of this down in an epic fashion, and that's all I can say right now. I hate to give you the short answer, but I don't want to reveal too much in this video. Next question is from Dirac Blackfire. Do you think the Night King knew that Daenerys was coming with her dragons? I just thought that it was kind of odd that they just happened to have chains big enough to pull a dead dragon out of the lake with them. This is another very good question. This is something I mentioned during my Season 7 breakdown video immediately after this episode aired, because I also felt like this was a setup by the Night King. The giant chains didn't bother me that much because there was a dock right next to that lake, and if you look closely you can see the chains wrapped around the dock as they were pulling the dragon out, but there were some other things that made me suspicious. This was the first time we ever saw the Night King and the White Walkers show up with ice javelins. It's kinda weird that they mysteriously had brand new weapons when the Night King is always known to carry a curved ice sword. Then the Night King just allows them to sit on that rock for days when he clearly could have killed them by throwing the ice spears like he did with the dragon. Also, before Jon even went on this mission, Bran sent the ravens north of the wall to spy on the Night King, and when Bran sees the Night King, he is sitting on the same rock that Jon and company end up getting surrounded on. I think he may have been waiting right there for them to show up so he could spring his trap on them. It did seem like he was purposely waiting for something. We know the Night King is very powerful, even more powerful than Bran is right now, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that he knew the dragons would show up. He can clearly tap into the weirwood net and see things too, so I won't rule this idea out. The next question is from Amondo. Do you believe Jon will betray Daenerys, considering her prophecy that she will be betrayed 3 times, the last one out of love? It might also add to the Azor Ahai legend where Azor Ahai killed his wife to create Lightbringer. Thank you for the question, Amondo. This is one of the many reasons why I believe if there will be a literal Nissa Nissa, then it has to be Daenerys or Melisandre. The only problem is I don't see Jon outright betraying Daenerys, not unless he has a very good reason to do so. But maybe something will happen that will cause Daenerys to think Jon has betrayed her in some way, although we would know Jon didn't actually betray her. Just as an example, Jon might decide to end his intimate relationship with Daenerys once he finds out they are related, but Daenerys could see this as a betrayal, especially if she's in love with Jon and wants to be with Jon no matter the circumstances. I'm not really sure what else would cause Jon to turn his back on Daenerys now though. There isn't much time left and he desperately needs Dany's help in this war. Daenerys would actually have to start purposely burning innocent people for Jon to want to kill her now, but that's just my opinion. If you have any other ideas, feel free to leave a comment. The next question is from Harry, and he says, do you think Dany's dragons will easily beat Viserion? The dragons grow enormously each season, whereas an undead dragon may not. When you put it like that, you would think 2 dragons should easily beat 1 dragon, but I don't think it will be that simple. If you would like to hear a more detailed answer about this question, you should definitely watch the video I made about how to beat the Night King's dragon. The tricky thing about answering this question is we don't know all of the rules yet. We know whites can be killed by fire and dragonglass, and White Walkers can be killed by dragonglass and Valyrian steel, but all of those weapons are made up of either fire or magic from dragon's fire. So you have to ask yourself, can an undead dragon be killed by weapons that are made up of magical properties from another dragon? No one knows that answer yet, all we can do is guess. I would like to think if you put a Valyrian steel bolt or arrow through Viserion's eye, it should die, but I'm not sure if Dragonfire will be enough, even though Viserion is technically dead or undead. Dany's dragons might not be able to kill Viserion with their fire, so that means they will need to make some kind of projectile out of dragonglass or Valyrian steel. Or they could use arrows made out of the weirwood tree and the godswood. That should do the trick too. Daenerys may have 2 dragons, but I wouldn't expect her to take down the Night King's dragon as easy as it may seem. I think they will make the battle as dramatic as possible, even if they have to throw logic out the window, which we know they have no problem doing. I think this is a good place to end today's video though. I want to thank everyone that posted questions and everyone for watching the video. I really appreciate your support, especially to those of you that support the channel on Patreon. I hope to see you all come back tomorrow for the next one. Have a great day. I'll see you down in the comment section. Bye.